Okay, before the break, we were looking at multi-threading and parallel processing. Multi-threading was the last thing on the list of core objectives. Something that will be very applicable to your final projects. Sorry, since it was in the other video, I had to put some toothache medicine on right before the lecture, and that the backup toothache medicine I have in my car is the kind that makes the tongue go numb and keeps it that way for like 6 hours. It definitely stops the pain on the, definitely stops toothache, but causes pronunciation problems. So we're gonna look at that, and that's adding in a style sheet. We saw forms on Django and stuff, but first there was something I wanted to look at. Go ahead and share my screen. This announcement came out today. So y'all have probably heard about some of the big technology conferences. Apple's the one that is advertised heavily, but theirs isn't really a technology conference anymore. Theirs is a three-day commercial. Software developers and hardware people know about what Apple's releasing before they actually get to the conference anymore, and then they just promote it like a big giant commercial. But a lot of the other technology companies, theirs is their annual conference or semi-annual conference is still very consistent. And well, you have an assignment this semester that's along those lines. The new technology report. You always want to stay up to date in the field. And those technology conferences, not Apple's, but the other technology conferences are a very important aspect of staying up to date in the field. And NVIDIA just announced the lineup for theirs. The dates have been around for a while, and they've been adding stuff here and there, but a bunch of official emails to everybody that's been registered for conferences before came out today and said, okay, everything's finalized. You can look now, even though the schedule's been building for a while, it's not a surprise thing. But today they got the email that said the schedule is finalized for NVIDIA's twice-a-year conference. NVIDIA theirs is focused on developers. So they have some really, it's a really great one for technology things. So lots of, I guess that's 4 days. It's going to start early on the 20th. I didn't look at the location. I assume it's California again. NVIDIA is huge, so the whole thing isn't even in America, but the American part is usually somewhere really nice, like Santa Barbara or Miami. The one in September might be in New York, because New England in fall is really, really nice. But the one in March is, they usually have the American part really nice. But there's a bunch of workshops, which is training. These are not free, which is rough for a student. But these hands-on training workshops, there's a few learning about deep learning, applications of multiple nodes. NVIDIA kind of has their hand in everything. That's why there's a lot, but you all know what NVIDIA's big thing is, right? The big thing is going to be the GPUs. So in the fall, every one of their 5-year plans, they announced in the fall, every one of their 5-year plans also involves CPUs, GPUs, and DPUs. That's data processing units. So if we have all 3 of them in one machine, whatever we're doing, we can really use the resources properly. Then the CPUs there for the calculations, lots of complex calculations. GPUs are there for just the grunt force work. Lots of things to do, but it doesn't take any special effort to decide which color goes to which pixel. Right? We don't need a bunch of fancy calculations to do that. So GPUs just carry the big load of the small, simple task. And then data processing units are for big data sets. We don't have to break our strings down to just the pure binary code and maybe move them through registers one bit at a time. We have a processor and accumulator and registers and RAM size specifically for large data sets. So optimization things, DPUs have been around for a while, just not in the average person's computer, not in the average computer. Lots of different things. This one caught my eye, building conversational AI applications. That's one of the work things. So 9 to 5. So it's a whole day training thing. You'll spend all day training, and by the end, you'll have a working conversational chat bot to go with. These aren't free, but that's rough when you're a student. But when you're out there working in software development, this is the sort of thing your employer would pay for. Different names at different places. It might be personal development, professional development, continued education, the sort of thing that employers are going to pay for. They'll pay for you to, if this one's hosted in San Diego or San Francisco, they'll fly you out to San Francisco, sit through the training session, the hotel room, and all that stuff. So that's more. It should be a benefit of your software development job that certain things like this are covered. But in one day, you'll learn to build one of those. It's also available remotely. So if you just want to buy tickets and you get in there, or it is $150 to watch the training sessions. The training sessions aren't recorded or anything. Some of the training sessions are recorded, but don't count on the group training sessions being recorded. This one explicitly says that it's not available for replay. So this one's only in lifetime. This is probably the first time they've ever done a workshop for, show up and in one day they'll teach you everything you need to know about building a conversation bot. There's probably a prerequisite. You probably have to know quite a bit about programming beforehand. But things like that. And I looked at the list earlier. There's 29 workshops, 29 of the training things. Deep learning, transformer-based natural language processors. So that's building the natural language processing into hardware. So hardware solutions for that instead of software solutions. And then our chatbot can do more if it doesn't have to process the language. If it just spits out the results from that processed language. If the language processing is in the hardware. Things like that. Accelerated data science, there's several things about data science, but there's 29 training ones. Then there's the regular sessions. These are like the fireside chats, the presentations, the keynote. NVIDIA keynotes are always great. They talk about the latest technology. Because we know them from GPUs, which usually means gaming. There'll be some awesome stuff about gaming, but they have their hands in all sorts of other stuff. This was my favorite from the fall. Betsy, NVIDIA. Is the audio coming through there? Anybody on the Zoom call still listening? Probably not. I'll just mute it.
It's not coming through the video, no. I can hear it on your computer.
Okay, so this picture right here, it's a automated ranch hand that can track every animal. If you got 1,000 cows on your ranch, no human could track that. Give lifetime data, transmit it across the network to the vet. Right? The vet doesn't even have to come to the ranch to check on animals. So I thought, it's NVIDIA, we think games first, but I thought that was the most awesome thing they talked about in the fall, at the fall one. I've been sharing this with all kinds of people. It's just like, that is just amazing. It's in an NVIDIA Jetson that's about the size of a Raspberry Pi. I hate to compare it to a Raspberry Pi. It is a single board computer, but it's some high-end NVIDIA equipment. So comparing it to a Raspberry Pi, anything other than size-wise just seems wrong. But the single board computer NVIDIA makes, and it just sits on top of a fence post and will track every animal in 360 degrees for a long ways around it. And no human could do that, right? That's an impressive thing. So they have stuff like that. It's not just that. They have warehouse stuff, the fully automated warehouses.
What do they have, like RFID tags?
No, the AIs. It just knows where the stuff's at. So they have a lot of interesting technology. And then, obviously very awesome gaming stuff. Because when they talk about the gaming stuff, they're not going to talk about the cheap NVIDIA GPU. they're going to show some impressive. They're going to show the most impressive graphics they can on the very, very best one. The one that most of us can't, wouldn't even shop for because we don't want to see how expensive it is. It's like, yeah, no, I can't afford it. And there's going to be, by the time I saved up for that high end one, there'll be 5 or 6 more versions come out along the way. So they'll be bragging about that. So they have that stuff, but then all these talks, AI today, vision of the future, AI to accelerate scientific discovery, AI and Earth to build virtual worlds, AI automation technology, scientific computing, rendering that's parallel rendering and scale. So that was something they announced in the fall, and they're already talking about the advancements in that. Parallel rendering is nice. We just talked about parallel processing, CPUs, but we don't have parallel on GPUs. It's not really multi-core. We pre-organize, we prepare the data. We pre-prepare the data, then prepare the data as it would go through the CPU. That wasn't a stutter. I was trying to say like prepare it ahead of time, then the normal preparation, then through the GPU. So we adjust it and stuff like that. They announced that in the fall, so they're already talking about that. But there's 823 sessions. Most of those are recorded. So they're going to talk about some very, very interesting things. You might want to watch those. You can just sign in and watch a lot of those. I don't think we need tickets for those.
So we can use any, like, we can pick something like this, do our technology report on.
Yes, this one won't be till afterwards. It's not till March 20th.
Oh.
It starts the first day of the
But we can do
second 8
like,
weeks.
we could do something like this.
Yes, yes. And then I don't know if there was any recent ones. You can go back to the one from September. That's a little more than 6 months ago, but look up GTC 2022, and there'll be a spring and a fall one. The fall one had some really neat stuff, like that Betsy. I thought I was just blown away with that one. Yeah, no ticket price on this one. So you just log in and you'll be able to watch it streamed. Let me go back to the session catalog and scroll a little bit further. It is NVIDIA, so it's a big international thing. I know there's one here on the front page somewhere. I saw it earlier. Oh, there it is. I'm guessing it's NVIDIA. This is a big international thing, so surely this page is auto-translated. So I'm guessing this one means nobody there speaks English. So like if you can't read the label, don't watch that one. So they had to hard coded in that don't translate that section. But a big international event. We're talking about all the latest technology. There's 800 events in 4 days. There's no way to see them all. And then another 29 workshops where they train stuff. When you're out there working in the field, that is professional development, continued education, personal development. There's different labels depending on your company, but you will get money for that. Right? You get money. It should be part of your salary to include like airfare to the conference, hotel room, meals and expenses and stuff for that continued education. Or at the very least remote, for the tickets for remote viewing. So that's something you're going to want to do in the field, and this one's coming up, so you might want to try to watch some of those if you can. I would highly recommend checking it out. Check out the keynote, which is 11 to 12:30. They are usually on par. They will release it immediately afterwards, and then there'll be some edits before long. They might spend if it's live, so things can go wrong. So if there's something wrong, they might spend a few minutes editing it. It will be on YouTube very, very shortly afterwards. Check out the keynote and maybe look at some of the other ones. Keep that in mind. I just wanted to share it with y'all. I already put the keynote on my schedule. It's Tuesday, March 21st, 11 Pacifics. Oh, no, it's showing Eastern. Earlier it was showing me the Pacific time, so I had to sit there and count back to figure out what. So 11 o'clock Eastern and 8 o'clock Pacific, that's going to kick off the conference. And then after that is just all these other events, and you might see something interesting on there, but that's an important part of software development. So I would highly recommend that. NVIDIA is one of the best, and NVIDIA is always focused towards the developers. They got the hardware is handled internally. So now they need to tell the programmers what to do with their hardware. Like, look what we made for you. Because we're the ones that really matter, right? They sell it to gamers, but they sell it to gamers. They need the program, they make the hardware, they need us to put stuff on their hardware to impress the gamers, and the gamers aren't going to buy their stuff. Or the ranchers aren't going to buy their stuff in the case of that of Betsy. I think that was one of the greatest things to come out in the last year. It's you can just put it on your ranch. If you got 10,000 cows, 50,000 chickens, right? The huge ranches, a bunch of crops, it will track all of them. No human could keep track of every one of them. The best we could do is sample it. And we could go out there and see if a couple animals look sick, and if we notice a few too many starting to look sick, then we'd have to check all the chickens. That's what happened lately, right? We got 50,000 chickens. Well, there's 50,000 of them in one place. We expect a couple to be sick. But if we if we notice quite a few seem to be sick, then we need to start checking all of them. Which that one was something that happened recently. That's what drove up the prices so much, because the chickens were sick. It was that big pandemic passing around them. But that thing can keep track of every single one of them as fast as a computer. So kind of a neat thing. That was the one I was most impressed with. But check that out. It will definitely be something that might be worth the while. So let me share a screen. I'm going to mix and match here. I'm going to go right to Python Anywhere. So this is what I really wanted you to do. That wasn't very clear when I said it. So those instructions were there. I wasn't necessarily concerned if you wrote a blog, as long as you did something, right? Y'all can write Python programming, as long as I just wanted it to not be that default page. As long as you had something there was all I was really looking for. And that tutorial got very hard, complicated at times. You don't need to do the continuous integration. You don't need to keep your code on GitHub or pull your code straight from GitHub. We can do it right here. And actually, that's what I'm going to do. Let me delete the one that's here. Delete that, yes. So now I don't have anything. When you delete it, it does not delete the folder. And so if you try to create another one with the same name, that would cause a conflict. The virtual environment will be exactly the same. So it does delete and recreate your virtual environment every single time. Having two mouses on the screen was going to confuse me. That's why I had to go move that. Virtual environments are not part of the Django project. They're temporary things. The last one used just didn't get deleted. It'll make a new one when it needs it again. Which is actually what that green button does. It's pushing out from the virtual environment. So when we hit that green button, it deletes the old virtual environment and creates a new virtual environment. And that way, anybody that goes to the website sees the old one until we push out all the changes. And it just deletes the virtual environment. So that's another use for those things, not just the blank slate, like we talked about a couple times. But you do have to delete the files from your old project and create a new web app. And I was thinking just do it here. That's what I thought was by far the easiest. As soon as I get the Zoom thumbnails out of my way. Actually, I know this interface, I can put them over here. That'll be out of the way. Can't change the name on the free account, so just hit next. Then we want a Django one. I'll go with 3.9.
If you have higher than 3.
Oh, use the highest one that's on there.
Okay, so it won't cause any, it doesn't cause, that's what I thought. So I was gonna ask you how to change between the two, B, but it'll be for later.
They are compatible. Well, if you want to switch to an earlier version, like if you set it up for 310 and then suddenly decide you need a TensorFlow, Facebook stopped making. Facebook made some changes, and Python, some stuff that TensorFlow depended on. Facebook didn't like what Python did, so they only go up to 3.79. So you can set your virtual environment to always be 3 point, a different one. You can set your virtual environment to any previous version of Python.
Yeah.
Any version of Python can always create a virtual environment for previous ones. So use the latest one and then just go in there and add a number to your virtual environment, basically. It's a really easy thing to Google, and it'll tell you exactly which file to add it in. Actually, if you went and looked, you will probably guess which file to add it in. Do you have a guess which file to add that in? We've only used 2 in the virtual environments, right? When we set up a virtual environment, we've used 2 files so far, right? Oh, that's it. That's in Django. So the virtual environment, we have activate and deactivate. And I never use deactivate, I just close it. But we've only used those 2. Can you guess which one the number gets typed into? So if you wanted to use 3.3 instead of 3.11.
Activate.
Yep, just go in there and you'll see the version number. So really easy thing to change. When you can Google it, it'll tell you which line to put it on and everything. So you don't have to dig through the whole file to find it. So the project name, what is this? This is going to be colorful. This is the main thing here is a style sheet. So there was one thing about style sheets, I mentioned it already once. This part right here, I should say, when we go to the console, when we did locally, open up the whatever our terminal application is and type Django admin -start project, that's what's happening right now. So we skip past that part and then we'll have the manage.py, and then the one thing we have to do here, so it's all started up now. We go to files and we go in there, there's our manage.py script. So we do, if you just create the whole thing here, that's what I was thinking. Oh, our console's running. This button right here their buttons don't look like buttons, but the snake icon is the home button. If you go over to consoles and view all, we have a limit, so make sure you close those out periodically. Or eventually you'll see a message that says you've hit the limit, so then you can go over there and close those out. We need to open the console here, so there's a button right here, open batch console here. And this is where we do Python manage.py start app. We call it tipping. Because I was going to do the whole thing here, but this way I can copy over from our tip calculator we did before. And just copy some of those files. Because that's sort of what you're going to do. If you type exit, that will close out of the console here. That's how you automatically shut those down. Then we come back over to files. We have colorful. And then here is our settings and overall URLs. So just like we saw before, we'll go into main settings and add that tipping app. Zooms in the way. Yeah, right there. Tipping. So we have that. Control S does work under editor. Usually the online editors Control S tries to save the page. So for Python anywhere, they did fix that. Well, we have that editor right here, so we can do all this stuff there. We can go in URLs and we could put all the URLs right here, but as your projects get bigger and more interesting, you're gonna end up with a lot of URLs. A little bit of organization goes a long way. I think y'all are familiar with that, right? So we're gonna create a new path. I'm gonna leave it blank so we don't have to pass anything past the domain name. So a blank string. I started to type the single quote that I referred to, then thought that might look like it's just an opening quotation mark. So an empty string, that way we type in the domain name, nothing else on the path, and it'll take us to a home page or into our app. And if we do that, we want to include tipping.urls.py, or I should say tipping/urls.py, but we need those folders in object-oriented notation, not file path notation. All stuff we've seen before, right? But notice I can edit it right here. Don't have to do anything fancy. Oh, I forgot a parenthesis. And it's across the internet, so sometimes the little syntax marks are slow showing up. So make sure you give it time for the red mark to show up or the red mark to disappear, because it does have to transmit across the internet. But that was kind of what I was thinking. You can go in here and do all of the whole thing right here. Whatever you need to type, do it right here. And you don't need to bounce stuff off GitHub. You don't need to make it locally with the virtual environment and then load it up. Just use this editor right here. It's set up specifically for Django projects. So everything's nicely organized. If you need a new file, like now we need a urls.py. So this is breadcrumbs. So we can go back up this way. So we got our settings and URLs changed. Seen that before. We'll go back up and we'll go in tipping. And now we need to make that local urls.py file. And to do that, we just put the name in here and then the new file button's right over here. Or probably type in that box and hit enter and it automatically creates that file. So then same stuff we've seen before. So not anymore. So from Django.ur, which one do I want? Django.urls, import path. We don't need to include here because we're not going to redirect from our app into another one. That's just, if we have lots of apps, it's useful to redirect the main URLs to an app specific one. So we don't get lost with 500 URLs in one list, trying to keep track of that. And from view, or from doc, import views. Seen all that before, right? And then we need URL patterns equals a list. And there's probably going to be a bunch of URLs in any decent sized project, so we can split that list up across lines. Which we've seen that many times, right? You split it a comma if you need to. So the first one I want to put in and make a path to the blank string again. So all we do is enter the domain name, nothing else. That's going to be our home page. So I'll go to views and we'll make a function called home here very shortly. So we've seen that a few times. Shouldn't be any surprises there, right? Nothing new. Now we need to go write that home function. So we go to views. Define home. Import. Oh, I don't know why I did that. Request and return. Render with go back to who sent it, and we'll go create something called home.html. Still nothing new. The home page is just going to say hello world and have a link to the tip calculator, which I'm going to copy from GitHub. From that last one we made. So then we go back up here. We need to make home.py, and just like before, that goes in a special folder. This one I know it's templates. So again, just like files, enter the name and hit the button and we should get a new directory there or go right into it. And now we need a file called home.html. I think that's what I called it, right? I guess we could check a couple things. We set up the doc type. I like their editor because it does that finish on. So if I type head and then when I close it, I automatically get the next one. And then I can come back and put stuff in the middle. Title. I'm gonna do something from a template. I'll come back and put that. So title, just to make sure everything works. Then paragraph. I'll put a link, which we can't quite fill out yet until we haven't got that far yet. So we'll have to come back and do the link.
That shortcut that you just did.
Oh, I just finished the A tag. So angle bracket, the hyperlink reference, close those. And when I close an angle bracket, this text editor was set up for Django. This text editor was made specifically for Django and Flask projects. So for HTML, the shortcuts are already automated, not even a key press for them, which is really, really nice. That's like using the Atom IO phone editor. Anybody ever use that text editor? Your keyboard, it puts HTML tags on your keyboard. So then to do the tags it's one click on your keyboard on the phone. Type your web page with a thumb. It's really, really nice. I like things like sometimes technology makes things easy. So that's the worst part about HTML is typing all the tags. That takes forever, but yeah, Kyle, all of the shortcuts that you'll need for Python, HTML, or all that annotations like in the APIs. The useful shortcuts are automated in this editor. It's not a super basic one. And this will be the tip calculator. So I guess we need a link for that, don't we? So I'm going to put it in tips. That sounds like a good name for it. So now I need to save that and go back over to URLs, wherever that was.
I don't like the IDs on the phone.
It's different. Everybody has different opinions. I like being able to sit back on the lay back on the couch and type with one thumb. This is much less prone to carpal tunnel.
That's where I have a problem with.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Oh, it does hurt.
Yeah,
Oh, so you have the joint issue.
just that
Okay.
right there.
So joints are an issue. As humans, we basically have two muscles. We're symmetric, so there's actually four. But two muscles that will never wear out on us, will never get exhausted. Our thumbs and our hips. Our joints will, right? Those joints go out on just about everybody. But the muscles controlling your thumbs and your hips will never get exhausted.
It doesn't hurt, it's just right here.
Your body will pull energy from the brain to supply your thumbs and your hips. It's a critical part. It will never get exhausted on you. So if you haven't hit that any damage on the joint, that one finger thing on the phone is a much better way to do it. But if you have, then natural language processing is coming along nicely too. So we need another path. Going to /tips. No, I want to go tips / and then that's going to go to views.tips. That sounds like a good name. Oops. Control S, not X. Oh, I missed a comment. Again, make sure you give it enough time for the little dot to show up. Come back up here and views. Probably should have tested the homepage by now, but define tips with request. Return render request, and I'll just call it tips.html. When I say copy from GitHub, I really mean copy from GitHub. I'm not going to download it and upload it. Have a text editor here, have a text viewer there that I can copy from. So that's what I was planning on doing. That's how I like to use pythonanywhere.com. Does this already seem like it's a little easier than what that tutorial had you do? We wouldn't even need the GitHub stuff except those files are already there, and I'm just going to copy from it to save us time.
You just looking for this earlier.
I was wanting to see something. I'll give you points. I'm giving points for that. I only got halfway through the list. I think you're the next one on the list. I was grading that in earlier today. I was trying to catch up. I got way behind that grade. I had like 35 assignments to grade. I was like, oh, I should probably start doing that. So home, we need a new file. Oh, whoops. I have to give it the name, tips.html. And this is going to be the form, but the form's over in GitHub, so I'm just going to copy. So instead of bouncing the code off GitHub with automatic updates and all of that fancy stuff, I'm just going to go over here to where we did that 2 weeks ago. And I'm really going to just copy it. Whoops, no stuff down there. I forgot this does that. Copy, paste. So we need the title. Oh, did I just copy and paste them the wrong thing? Yeah, I did. That's the home page. Let me go back over here and tip input. That was the form. So I'll start up here. Copy that. Paste that in. There we go. Looks like this one doesn't need anything. Whoa, cancel. Fix the little copy paste error. Y'all know that process. That will be sufficient for this class. You can learn continuous integration later when there's not really tight time constraints. Right now, we just want to get our projects going. All right, so this way you can do it here and you can focus all your time on the project. Don't even worry about the upload button. Copy and paste. That's what I think is the easiest way. If you had it working somewhere else, just copy and paste it or upload it. That works too. I mean, it's not hard to upload stuff, but there's more than one option is the thing. Going here and tipping views. This one needs at least a title. Homepage. Might as well put a message over here. Message. That way we would just review things. Hello world. Nothing. Don't need anything fancy there. Tips doesn't need anything sent to it, so there we should be good to show those and link between them. And that's not a good name for processing, so I'm going to call this results. Oh, wait. Over here. And if you want to, there is the open a new tab. So you can open I probably should have done this earlier. Instead of jumping back and forth between them, let's open that one, let's open views, then we'll go in templates and open tips. That's probably the way you're gonna edit it, right? I should have done that to begin with. Right click and open a new tab or whatever the open a new tab is for your system. Let's make this results. So now on now on URLs. So here. Add results. Goes to views dot results. Might as well stick with the name so it doesn't get too confusing. Which means so we have our template from last time. Copy, which once again, I just completely missed that. Oh, whoops. I didn't get that one opened in the new tab. Templates. Oh, this is gonna automatically go. So sometimes it's a little trickier to get things open in the new tab. Whenever you create a new file, it automatically goes there, but there's small, simple workarounds for that. Y'all know how to open multiple tabs on a browser. Make results.html and paste this in. Control home and get that character I missed. Save and shouldn't need anything else from that. Oh, wait, yes, I do. Need title and tip amount to come in as from the dictionary. All stuff we've seen before so far, right? No, I do want that open in another page. I want all of these open. Tabs, what's here? There's tips. Oh, same one open there. Tips, reviews, I don't need views. Home and results. And then views where we actually write our code. And should be able to just copy this from GitHub.
And then I just kept my bash console way in the beginning so I can keep running the server. I did like that, and then I kept my bash console way in the beginning, and then I just go to that. And
Oh, you don't have to do the run server or anything. Oh, well, that's just for a fake server because it will still pop up at 1.7.0.0.1, which is the machine we're on. So only the people in the server warehouse where this is hosted at can use 127.0.0.1. We can't even use the address from that. We use our regular address. So I'm going to copy that over to views. Yeah, so we don't have to do that. That run server is just to create a virtual server so we can test it locally. Because Django only works on a server. But we don't write code on servers. We write and test code on clients.
so once you save it, it just
Yeah,
automatically.
because here we are on a server. So it's already running. And if we did that, if you do that manage.py.run server, it gives you the local host address.
Yeah, every
Which-
time.
Yeah, which we can't access. Or we can't access that local host.
I can take that stuff out.
I will take the date them out. So everything should be good here. Still getting those same things. We copied and pasted. Does anybody see anything I need to change? I think it's all there. We'll see an error message if there is, right? All that should be good. Let's go check it. So what we do to run it is we go push this out. So what this does, deletes the previous virtual environment, creates a new one with the changes. So then people coming to the website can see the new one. And that's why while we're making those changes, it's pushing out the virtual environment. So people are still seeing the previous version. And now people will see the new version, or they should. So if we right click here, and yeah, we have an actual address this time. So that we don't need that local host one. Oh, attribute error. Tipping.views has no attribute results. Oh, I had to change the name. Display tip is now called results. Just for better naming conventions. Click that, push out the changes. Okay.
Yeah.
Tip calculator 123.45. A good meal somewhere. Looks like that came through okay. URL in colorful URLs, Django tried the URL files in this tips results, and the current path tip/display didn't match any of these.
It's because you just changed the.
Oh, yes.
I was doing Python anywhere on my phone. I took my son to the doctor.
Sorry, yeah, I clicked the wrong thing. That's supposed to be the homepage, isn't it? I'm gonna make that go back that // to get back to the homepage. I typed that in the wrong place altogether. This is the one that was supposed to be changed. Yes. But no surprises there, right? That's how writing code goes. We make typos. We type words on the wrong lines. But now I think we're ready for the new stuff. Oh wait, no, I have to go back, reload this. And now this is the page that had the wrong call. 34.56, that's a reasonable price, really decent service. Oh, I need to go to /tip/results. I pointed that out last time, didn't I? On view, where's views? Oh, URLs. URLs isn't open. Well, sometimes it helps to do this instead of memorizing it, see where it tries to go. It's looking for tips/results. That's where it tried to go, and it looked down a path called tips. Then it looked down a path called results. But now we can see where it's actually supposed to be. So instead of memorizing it, which obviously I don't memorize that, I throw that error message and then go fix it when I see the error message. I need tips/results is what gets called for that page. Save that. Oh, push the changes out. That's the big thing. You have to remember to push the changes out.
You can also push the changes out from inside the console.
That's what runs everything.
Should we go back to the previous page?
That little wheel at the top right.
Oh, what is it? Template does not exist.
Nightmares.
Did you say it to go to the previous page? That's what it's called.
Well, it went to the wrong one, or it went to the right one this time. The last time we had to go to the previous page because it called the wrong thing. This time it couldn't, it called the right thing, but it couldn't find it. But it's saying the template doesn't exist. I guess I must have forgot that. Oh, yes. Is that what we called it? Results study. Yeah, results study.
Now you just hit that that button in the top right. You don't have to go back to any other page to reset everything.
Oh,
No, that's the little arrows. You're just running the bash console with that one.
okay. But yeah. Didn't really close. How do I close that? Oh,
I accidentally pushed that button and then.
not that way.
I had to close it completely.
That one? Okay, so I need that one. And that one. I really only need two of them here. 12, 34, and luckily they're both on the history, or I can get back to them quicker from the history probably here. Template does not exist. Why? What template does not exist? So
Did you reload it before, or do you need to do it again?
oh, I didn't reload it, did I?
Thanks.
I clicked the wrong button and then did something else. Thank you. Yeah. I remember that, yes, so y'all heard what he was pointing at, right? Did everybody see that? The refresh button.
Hey.
There we go. So now it's right, but we can make this look a little bit better with some style sheets. So I wrote a note down, wrote some notes down here. I practiced this once, but this isn't the way I normally do it. Temp API. Didn't I write notes down? Well, I guess I wrote notes down, but I didn't save them. Or I didn't bring them. Oh, here it is. Okay, so in order to make the style sheet, so all those files work, actually need them all back, open back up, don't we? So let me go back to files. I was going this way instead of history. And colorful, so that's the ones we want to style. And tipping, I don't know why I'm looking at the DVD, there's a delay there. That just makes things confusing. In templates, open a new tab, open a new tab, open a new tab. And I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to close that console if you actually do that, because that's useful to have there. But I did not see any way to close it. And the normal Control W, definitely don't hit that when the browser's open. Control W will still close the whole browser. We need a style sheet. So to do that, here, just like we need templates, we want to make a folder called static. And in here, it is at the app level, so make sure you don't do it at the project level. We just need something. Tips.css. I'll just give it that name. And again, just like your earlier comment or question, Kyle, CSS is one of the core things that's built in here into this text editor. So the keyboard shortcuts has nice keyboard shortcuts automated already. Like HTML, min height, 100%, because that error still happens. If you didn't have me in class, you probably hadn't seen that. Sometimes you don't want to let the computer decide how much of the screen height it needs. Like if you have one paragraph there and say to give it a linear gradient on the background or something, it will only give that. It will decide it only needs that one paragraph of space and then throw a bunch of white stuff on the screen. The quick way to work around it is just always say that HTML takes 100% of the page. A very, very useful thing. I always make a big deal out of that in class. But if y'all didn't have me, probably then encounter all the little tips and stuff. I was doing animations today in CSS, so I really want to put some animations on here, but we don't need to get that advanced. We just need to add some style rules to these things. So we have our links paragraph. Actually, I'm gonna make this the nav. Add in some spaces, non-breaking space and non-breaking space. If you didn't have me for the class, you might have also not pointed out that that is the semicolon is part of HTML now. That wasn't required when the textbook was written, but it was added a couple years ago when we did special characters. HTML 5.2, which came out during the pandemic. Space those links out a little. Oh, then we need our message. Guess we need to check that, right? So percent if message. Does anybody remember if I called it message or not? I hope I did. Okay, H1 message. And else paragraph with there's no message. And I'll give this a class or something. Class equals errors. Does everybody in here have CSS? I should probably ask that. Half of you all did have me for that class. And I think the other half has had it, right? Does anybody not have HTML and CSS class?
So it's 153.
153? Okay. Yeah, as long as you know that, but styling isn't important. That's the best way to style stuff. It's half of a C++ program. The other half of the program is built into a browser. So we do half of a C++ program, and then it cuts down to basically we just assign variables. We assign values to variables, and the other half of the C++ program is built into the thing, but it's the best way to do control colors and things like that. So let me try this again. Reload. And again, it pushes it out from here. Thank you for that tip, Kyle. That is easier. For sure. Back to the home page. Oh. Oh, I apparently have the wrong address.
You change stuff.
Yes, right here. I got rid of stuff and now it's just the blank. Now it's an actual home page. Is there a keyboard shortcut for it? No, it don't look like it. I like keyboard shortcuts. Oh, it went to the wrong thing. Didn't I put some spaces in there? We'll make it a paragraph. Paragraph. Save, reload, maybe a couple more spaces. Those links are just really, really close to each other. There we go. So all that works, but it looks pretty lousy. It's still going to look pretty lousy after our quick example here, because now the style sheet won't be finished with this in about 15 minutes. So in static, we put our style sheet. Let's give the nav a height of 2.4 elements. A width of max width of 50%. And just background color would probably work. Background color, maybe something yellowish. And bunch of red, C2, about the same amount, or bunch of green, bunch of red, bunch of green, almost no blue is yellow. So red, maybe D0, 34. Should give us some yellow color. Oh. What? File is changed on disk. What? Yes. That's what save means. Okay, I've never seen that message before. I have no idea why it was giving me an error message that explained what saving is. So we still don't have our style here. Oh, I guess we also need to copy that nav bar over to the other two don't. So the only thing that's styled so far is this. Copy. Paste that in there, and then we can get rid of this one. I've never seen that error message before, so maybe it has to do with the having pushed it out, the changes out from here. I'm not sure. It's really weird because it doesn't seem like an error message. It's just explaining to me what saving does. It's not pushing it out. Maybe that's what the problem is.
Yeah, I've been using this all day. I've been pushing it out all day, and it's not. That's not what this is.
Find out whatever it is. Let me try now that I'm signed back in.
Oh, it's not saving anything. There's an error saving. That's what it means.
Yeah. Save. Yeah, I guess that was because I was logged out. Push that out. I'll just go back to the way that I'm used to. Is that finished? Oh. I think it's loading from the cache. I swear I just put that in there. There's an nav element.
I don't think your changes are getting saved. So whenever it's getting pushed out, nothing's happening.
Oh, it's behind the Zoom button. Okay. Copy that. Go back up here.
Do you have a path to the CSS file? You
Yeah, you made a static file.
mean, the HTML file is with a path to it. Let me see it.
Okay, that time is saved. So I'm gonna copy all of this. Go back out. Which one did it just come back with results? And paste that. Save. Okay, so that's working. Usually the editor here is the easier one to work with, but yeah, the error message, actual error message was hidden behind Zoom buttons. So I was just seeing the box that popped up. And it wasn't very useful. I didn't see the red thing up at the top. Now I can say that, push out the changes. There we go. So those style rules we aren't seeing them yet. We haven't added that link in, right? Let me go back to the home page. Let me fix that link to go back up and put them back into it, which means the other one that I pasted it into would also be wrong. Save that. So we need to link to our style sheet. I think everybody's seen that before. Link relevance is style sheet. MIME type, since that's not covered very explicitly in textbooks anymore, since CSS is the standard, we're sending CSS data in text format. You see MIME type talked about in books that sometimes we need that. We don't really need it for CSS, but we don't need all of our style rules at once. We might not need any of them. Things like that vary, so we need a hyperlink reference, not a source. Oops. And our hyperlink reference is coming from Django stuff. So that's going to be percent static, and then our app name, which was tipping, slash, what do I call it? Is it still open? Is it tips.css? Hopefully. In that string, and then in the Django thing. So notice how it all goes in at once. This is not the way I normally do it. I'm probably gonna come back and comment this out. Show you the way I do this. What I think works a little bit better. Which one is this on? This is on tips. And then up at the top, I think we need to do it way up at the top, very first thing. We'll do the this and then load static. That's new. They just added that in the most recent version of Django. So the tutorial might have skipped that altogether. Was that in the tutorial? The line at the top? Okay. I don't know how new it was, but I didn't, whoops, I reload this reload. But that's not where I normally do style sheets. But hopefully we'll see yellow here. That's what it should be to refer to that. I gotta quit looking at the TVs when I do that. Nope, I'm not seeing any. That's the one we did, right?
I can't remember for sure what you named it. You had asked if you named it tips.css. I don't remember if that's what it was.
Oh, wait, it's not looking at the latest version. Oh, I got the links messed up. That's why I was doing weird things there. Tips. No wonder. I want to go up a level and then back into tips. So that's something useful on Django. The relative addressing, just go all the way back up to the top and come back to where you were, where you want to go. Otherwise, it can get a little bit confusing. Save that. Push the changes out. It's still not looking at the latest version. Has everything been saved? Save that. Save that. And colorful and tips.css, but Why is there a static page up here? Oh, the static for admin. That is right. And tipping and static. We have tips.css. So then, and when we ask for it, oh, wait, that's not the page. I'm looking at the wrong page then. It's on results.
Oh, it's going from tipping to tips instead of tipping to static to tips.
Yes, I was looking at the wrong page, so let me put that on the home page. Okay. Save that, push out the changes. Sorry. Has everybody in here experienced that at least once? Edit one file and think you're editing a different one and then struggle to figure out why it's not working. Template syntax error. Line 7, did you forget to register or load this tag? Yep, I probably did because I don't normally do it this way. Oh, yes, I did. Static. Save.
Is it not load static?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I'm starting to get tired, I think. I have been teaching classes since 1 o'clock this afternoon. That's a lot of looking at code. Okay, and then at office hours, I was helping people with homework problems. So it has been all coming on 8 hours straight of looking at code, it feels like. Or thereabouts. Could not parse the remainder tipping / tips.css from tipping / tips.css.
Need to be static. That's CS.
Um,
Missing that single quotation mark and tip. Or
oh, yes, that's a good eye there. That shouldn't be a semicolon. That should be the button next to the semicolon. A single quote mark. Which, yeah, after 8 hours of looking at code, it's probably about time to stop looking at code so my eyes can refresh a little bit. I think that's why I keep looking at the TV. Even though there's a delay on the mouse, it's bigger. Much, much bigger. But there's still no change. View page source, you can see it loaded in that way. If we go here, we couldn't find it. Current path static / tipping / tips.css didn't match any of these.
That's because there's not a tipping folder in static.
I tried it like this so many times and I finally had to make a new directory called CSS and then put it in there. But I had to get it to. So I got started. Made a CSS folder and then put it in there and then I was able to call it. It literally doesn't make there.
Still don't like it. View page source. What did I do when I practiced it? That is all the notes I wrote down. Style sheet in static folder at app level. Then do the link. And don't forget load static. Um,
Was checking that out earlier. I don't know if this is gonna help or not, but it's saying one of the steps is to collect the static files using the bash console. That sounds like something they'll going to bash and doing Python manage.py collect static. If that's, I don't think that's
I can try it. I was getting ready to show you, go jump over and do what I did. So, read that again. Where's?
So this is, I don't know if it's the same file you're gonna need, but it's just Python manage.py collect static.
Oh, what's that? This one? Go to files. Total, there's my check. Yeah, Python. I was about ready to jump over and show you the way I do it. Manage.py collect static is one word.
Yeah, that's what it says. I haven't tried this first.
I don't remember doing that. That has all the admin stuff. So. We can try this. One copied, 128 unmodified.
You didn't reload.
Okay, not doing anything. So there's a couple ways that I think are much easier to do this. The first one is we usually don't have much. We don't have a lot of pages when we set up our app, right? There's only a couple pages for the app. So first way, so that just moved it someplace else entirely. That deleted the file. Doesn't say file not found, but it emptied it out.
That's at least that well.
Was that one of the files that didn't save when you were having trouble?
I thought it did because I've been back to it at least once, but maybe it must not have. So let me try this again. Our nav, we can give it a width or max width of 40%, a height of maybe 3.2 elements or EM, size of the character, the size of the largest letter in the font, the one that they admit, the measurement that came out with Gutenberg. If you're not familiar with that one, it's probably complicated if you just see it in books and don't have somebody to tell you the history of it. That's EM is what goes back to the Gutenberg press. Like we have the EM dash in English, the longest one. EM is the size of the largest letter in your font, usually a capital M or W. Or when the Gutenberg movable type was invented, that was the size of each square that the letter was put onto. So it's based, if you size things that way, all of your sizes are based off the data you're showing, which can have really nice effects. Then we need like a background color, something yellow, right? C3, E4, 33, that's yellowish. Save that. Push out the changes. Seems to say it found it. Oh, that did work. Okay. So that's how you put that on there. That line that he just typed in the batch console, I don't remember doing that last week when I was getting ready. This is not the way I normally do style sheets in Django. Because that seemed complicated. We had to put it in one place and then do a bunch of other stuff. Well, apparently that file wasn't saving, so I don't know if that line mattered or not. I guess the issue might have been that I just wasn't saving the file, apparently. Hard to say, but put it in static. Go to static/tips/CSS. So then over here, we got over here, static tips/CSS, and you have other folders, add the file path like normal, load static. So that should work. The easiest way, since we usually just have a couple pages, I'll put on this other one. Which one's this? This is results. So on results, instead of that, I'm just going to put it in embedded style tag. That's by far the easiest way. Right, everybody remember those? If there is a lot of pages, what I like to do is something like this. I'll go over to my local text editor. Paste that in there, save this as maybe tips.css. And then I'll come over here. If you didn't have me for this class, I've been using this infinityfree.net domain hosting. They just go ahead and say unlimited databases. They have a lot of other things. So it's connected to, is it Blue Gator? The really nice one that has an alligator for the logo. That domain host, this is one of their free subsidiaries. But on this one, somebody had the idea to show ads on the back end. And then that pays for a lot of things that aren't available on free domain hosting sites. Technically, there's a limit on the database. There's 400 limit of databases. And then it's the upload limit. However big you want to make them is fine, as long as you don't pass the upload limit. But that's more than the one we normally get on free database stuff. All sorts of other stuff. It's got Drupal, Jamal, all sorts of CMS stuff. It's got Monster for FTP, which is really nice. I'm going to use the one for the afternoon class. So it's got Monster FTP, which normally costs money, but you can see right there, they show ads to the developer. Doesn't bother me at all. I'm used to seeing ads on every page I go to. And if it pays for a lot of tools that don't show up normally, right? If it will allow us to do things like, Monster File Manager, along with other options, and we can run MySQL and Postgre at the same time. 400 databases, and then no restrictions inside of those databases as long as we don't pass the upload limit. Add extra domains, add emails, stuff that normally doesn't come on the free domain hosting. What a brilliant idea. Show ads on the back end too, not just the front end. It covers the cost on a lot of nice stuff. So I'm going here. It's an Apache server, so I'll upload some stuff here, make a new folder. If you didn't have me for that class, it's infinityfree.net. I've been using it for a few years. That is definitely my recommendation. Periodically, you'll get messages saying they send you emails and stuff, but the only emails I have ever gotten from them is if nobody goes to your site in 90 days, they shut it down. And then you have 10 days to reactivate it or just let it delete. That's the only emails I've ever got from them, but you do have to accept that message a few times that says they might need to contact you. What is this? I'll call this tip. There's probably already a tips. Django tips. That'll work. Oh, yeah, I can just paste that here again. There's a nice file editor right here. Oh, I made a file in there. Cancel that. I don't want that. Delete that. Yes. I made a new folder. called Django tips. And then in that folder, which was here, I can make a new file called tips.css and just make that here instead. I don't know why I went somewhere else, paste that in there, hit save. And now it's in the htdocs on Apache slip. So that's where the domain points, then Django tips folder. So if I come back over to the domain, where'd it go? Oh, way over here. This is from the afternoon class. So all of this stuff, then Django tips / tips.css. Then I'll copy and paste from here. And which one doesn't have it yet? So there's the static one that did work. I guess the thing was remember to save. There's the embedded one. That is what I think is the easiest because usually our app doesn't have a whole lot of pages. Right? Your typical web app, you're talking copy and paste to 5 pages at most. So embedded is not hard. Embedded is much easier than static or this method, where I can just come up here and link relevance is style sheet. Mine type is CSS data coming in text format, and the hyperlink reference is there. Sort of the whole point of the internet, right? That initial thought behind hypertext transfer protocol. I'll just send you the address of where it's at, and if you want it, go get it. Let's see if this works. I have seen this not work sometimes. It takes some extra steps on Amazon if you're on AWS, running your Django stuff on like a Beanstalk or set up an EC2 yourself. It takes some extra server admin steps, but hopefully it'll work for us here. Which one did I just put that in? Tips. Find it. Sometimes it takes extra server admin steps. Oh, it found it. So I think what's going on, where is it? Review page source again. Notice the protocol. I just put it on a free site that there's no SSL. So remember to put it someplace you have an SSL certificate. You can't bring in HTTP data and put it on an HTTPS site. Because it goes the other way. You can bring secure data into a non-secure site, but you can't bring non-secure data into a secure site. Sorry, I didn't think about it, but does that process make sense? And when it's not classroom examples, you'll probably have that S on your address anyway. Oh wait, this isn't secure either. That should work. Well, I might have to dig in and look around why that's not working. Because it's finding it. But it's not reading it. Do I need to take that out of there? Well, I'll look into why that's doing that, because
You need to reload the page. Did you do that?
I might not have. I forget that one all the time. So I should be able to close out of these. That's what I normally do, but usually with like secure sites. Close that. Close that. Should be pushed out, reload, it's still not doing it. This time it's looking right from here, so I do need that other stuff in there. Usually when I do that, it has the S on there and it's on an AWS server, so I have extra control over stuff. Let me edit one other thing here. Try this one more time. This one. I'll put the HTTP protocol, save that, push it out, and let's see if we're getting an error. Oh, not page source. Oh, cross origin blocking, yeah. We need we need to set up some server admin privileges and say that it has permission to read that. Cross origin response, you can specify that anywhere. So yeah, that I guess that one has to be done on AWS or someplace where we have access to the server in order to write the words allow all at one spot in the code. So it's not hard to do, but we do need server permission to do it. That's what I think is the easiest way to do it. Then you can refer that to lots of pages. Oh, that one did work. I guess I didn't really know the static one was there. I usually just go with something that works and stick with that. If you have a AWS account where you can request full on read access, not just, or is it the other way? Which one's blocking it? Calculator, inspect. Core is blocking from here. So if your Django is on AWS, then you can stick your other thing on a free side, you can put it there and just refer to that address. But I guess we need permission to do that.
Project settings and adjust it. There's something that's
Possibly.
allowed hosts under, I think I saw something. I was thinking,
There probably is. It is somewhat restricted. So like sometimes they'll show buttons. And then when you click them, it turns out that you have to pay the account, like the force HTTPS. When we click that, oh, well, that one worked. Switch that back to disabled. Some of the buttons will click them and it will just bounce over to the upgrade page. Static media editor.
I think I saw it in one of the files. Like project setting files. I have been setting stuff to you.
Okay, you can look. So it's just core and you just need to allow access. So you'll see something for cross origin, which was supposed to be a security protocol. It's just an inconvenience. Your typical JavaScript class will show you how to override that on day one because it was supposed to be secure. It was never secure and it never got removed. So now it's just an inconvenience for programmers. You can look around, see if Python Anywhere will let you do that. It's not a hard, just a firewall rule. So there's probably one somewhere. In general though, since apps aren't very big, this will probably be good for everybody's project, right? That is by far the easiest way, or the static one. That might be necessary because I didn't notice over here on the web page. Here's where it's looking for the static files. colorful.static or colorful.media. So whenever we did that one thing, it copied one file over to that other one. So that must have, it must need to go up at that top level static one as well, or something, maybe have a reference to it. I have to dig around and look for it. But something we did there worked. Eventually made it show up so you can try back and forth, but we're getting tight on time. My general recommendation is go with the easy for now. And you can, when there's not really tight time constraints, then you can deal with those more complicated versions. Does that give you ideas? Those who are having trouble with that static page, did you see what was going wrong with yours, or
Oh, yeah, I was.
get it work?
Oh, no, no.
Or we did somewhere, or see one of those alternatives.
I finally had to make a folder, a CSS folder, and pull it from there because it wasn't accessing it from the same level. So I had to, inside templates, I had to make another directory.
Okay, as long as there's, I guess the main point should be that there's multiple ways to do it. I think I know what you're talking about, but that's gonna get complicated soon without a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like you were already trying to draw a picture while you were talking about it. Sometimes they get kind of complicated. Multiple ways to do it. As long as you find a way to do it, there's lots of ways to get the style rules on there. Because we can also just make a put a method in views that returns a long string of CSS data, and then we just request that. That works too. Multiple ways to do it, but right, like kind of like an API. We just added in as like our own CSS API. Multiple ways to do it. Anybody have any questions about that stuff? That went about 15 minutes longer than I thought it was going to. And the one that I normally do didn't work because we don't have some, well, I'm used to doing that on actual server where we have control over everything and can say, yes, stuff's allowed to, we're allowed to cross origin reference things.
So for the assignment, you did do the multi-threading, but for extra credit, we could do the parallel, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and yeah, multi-threading is really easy. Parallel processing is very similar, but I believe much more beneficial for you. Especially for that conference that I mentioned, the one back in September, NVIDIA said every one of their plans moving forward, their 5-year plans all involve CPUs, DPUs, and GPUs. So we're gonna have a lot of processors to work with. And we want to work accordingly for the hardware. So that will be a more beneficial one to work in there. The other part, I think, is following steps like always, right? All right, it's been a few seconds since I asked if there are any questions. Any other questions? If you have any, let me know. Otherwise, you all have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. We've hit our list of major learning objectives. So I've got some odds and ends that will be useful for you. I feel things that I found will be useful. I feel will be useful for you. If you have any questions, let me know. I will see you Monday. Everybody have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Are your office hours the same tomorrow?
Office hours